Greetings and welcome to the weekly edition of the Safe Crypto Show. I'm your host, Tyler Jordan, with co-hosts Mike and Jason. Each episode attempts to cover a range of topics, beginning with a roundup of the top cryptos of the week. Next, a discussion of general crypto news and happenings, and then we consider new and interesting projects and ICOs. All followed by a brief discussion of the weekly tech update by MadeSafe. Let's get started with the show. Safe Crypto Show disclaimer. Please keep in mind at all times that we, the hosts and guests of the Safe Crypto Show, are not offering or giving investment advice. We only state our personal opinions and thoughts on our own interests. By watching, you agree to not hold us responsible for any losses you may incur by executing trades or by maintaining holds based upon the subjects discussed in our episodes. It's Thursday, the 29th of December. There is no MadeSafe update this week, so let's begin. I'm with my co-host Mike. And
that's me.
First topic this week is the top cryptos. We got the top 5 here. I've got that. Let me just refresh for the very latest prices. So, Bitcoin. It's had a very rough ride the last couple of weeks. This week in particular, down to $14,086 US. Wow. So, taking hits from all sides, plus high fees and slow transaction times, it's really no wonder there is some profit taking and reinvestment into other cryptos. The crypto newbies are discovering the strengths and weaknesses of various coins. I think they're selling off a fair bit.
Yeah, as far as for Bitcoin and stuff, I've noticed that the dominance of Bitcoin, according to our coin market cap, is showing 38.4% compared to the over 55% that it was just a few weeks ago when we started our show. So as far as for that bodes well for the altcoins, not for the Bitcoin, but then because of the standard volatility that we're seeing, it goes up as high as almost 16,000 that it hit a few days ago, and then down to about 12 or thereabouts as well. So they definitely have a serious amount of volatility in there, and it's just up to each particular person what they want to go and do in regards to that volatility. Some people make the most of it and buy and sell, based on peaks and valleys, and can make a few bucks here and there, whereas the long-term hold people are still waiting for the run-up that people have gone and said, hey, when's the Bitcoin going to be 100,000? When's it going to be $1 million? We need to have our $1 million from our one Bitcoin that they have. But I don't see it happening anytime in the immediate future.
No.
But with the new year comes new investment plans, and it'll be interesting to watch, that's for sure.
Yeah, I can't see it shooting too low, really. But yeah, this week looks like it got down to, what's that low there? 14,004. Is that really the lowest point? Oh, well, last week it got down lower. It looks like all the way down to 12,800. So yeah, very volatile. I don't know in terms of percentage how volatile it's been. I think it's not been too bad overall in terms of percentage of volatility as opposed to just the actual price in terms of US dollars. And talking about volatility, though,
on to number 2.
Ripple, up 90%, 91% really in the last 24 hours. I can't believe it.
Yeah, that's a roller coaster spike on its way up, that's for sure.
Pulling up the monthly chart, it's gone nuclear. Amazing.
Yeah, Ripple's showing on the weekly, showing up 141% for the past week. So, most of that being today. But still, that's a major major set of moves in the past week that it's done. and who knows what the future will hold for Ripple.
Yeah,
But
I'm
it's definitely
disappointed.
made its move. Took over the number 2 spot from Ethereum that had been entrenched there for quite some time.
I am disappointed for two reasons. The first is that I really don't like Ripple. It is more centralized than almost all other cryptos, and hence liable to fall under the control of people who will manipulate it for their own ends. That's my opinion anyway. The second reason I'm disappointed is because I don't own any. At the moment, I would suspect that because of its centralization and because it has historically been fairly high in market cap and thus well known, I suspect that bankers will continue to embrace and eventually buy and promote Ripple. Hence, in terms of profit potential, I think it's quite high, and I may, despite my deep reservations about the company behind it and how it works, I may buy some Ripple. I don't know.
Yeah, compared to the price of Bitcoin, you do get quite a few ripples for your Bitcoin when you convert from one to the other.
Well, that's
$2.80 is pretty low on the pretty low on the affordability scale. It's kind of hard not to come up with a few bucks for something that's $2.80, whereas you get this little bit dust. If you put 50 bucks or 100 bucks towards Bitcoin, I get how much? Barely enough to go and cover transaction fees on Bitcoin, but you get a pretty good chunk of ripples. But much like you, I do not have any ripples either. So
I'm just looking at the so I'm on the coin market cap Ripple chart. I've got the 1 month pulled up, and I can just see the volume. It just radically spikes up and down. You go out to 3 months. It's the same sort of deal. It's become much worse here in December, but the volume is just gone huge, and I don't know, where is that from? Why has it gone so radically? Why is it so radically changed? Is it because of the Korean and Japanese banks adopting it? I doubt it. I'm not sure what they were using it for, if it's interbank transactions or what. I'll have to look into that again. But it's very odd, the volume changes like that. I always find that suspicious. Anyway.
Yeah, something a little more stable would show that it's in constant use.
Yeah.
And you never know if the big spikes in volume are due to speculators doing their day trading on the coin.
Yeah.
Because the volume can go up really high when they get involved with their computer programs that do the do the instant changes and such.
Well, the volume has radically shifted since we looked at this just before the show started. We had a volume of about 9-something billion, and now the 24-hour volume is saying 7.8 billion. I mean, that's a huge shift. So it is good. Its volume to market cap ratio at the moment, it looks, realistic that it should be that price. There's both buying and selling occurring here, even with this massive rise. Well, I don't know. Might be good to hold a little Ripple. I'm still very cautious about these kind of numbers happening, and I probably won't be buying anytime soon, but maybe in the next couple of months I'll see how it goes. Number 3, Ethereum. So Ethereum's been holding its own. It is one of the most active blockchains, being the core of thousands of decentralized applications, aka smart contracts. I don't see Ethereum going relatively higher on CoinMarketCap, however, in terms of ranking. Many alternatives are being developed and gaining traction, and Ethereum, as it stands now, is becoming overloaded. I'm going to pull up the chart here. Let's look at the 1 month range. Now see here, you see with the volume on Ethereum, it has some pretty significant ups and downs. There's a good stable baseline as well. Go out to 3 months and you can still see that. Now it's continually increasing, but it's much more it has a baseline, whereas Ripple would go way down, and it's pretty odd. Clearly, though, even with Ethereum, there is quite a bit of increased volume this past month. Not a huge surprise given the massive influx of new money into the crypto space.
Yeah, the total market cap across the board is back up over 600 billion now, after a few days down in the 550 billion or so range. It seems to have gone up quite a bit more. How much of that is actual additional money coming in compared to how much money is being shifted from Bitcoin to coins like Ripple, which definitely go and increase a lot of the total market cap just when they jump up in price like Ripple's done in the past couple of days, or a couple of hours actually.
Yeah.
So taking a look at the market cap, once it gets up to 700 billion, who knows when that's going to happen, but wouldn't be a bit surprised to see a moderate run up after the new year in the total market cap.
It'll be interesting to see the fallout once South Korea, well, we're going to be talking about them in our next topic, but see the fallout from what South Korea does with whatever regulation it puts in place. But it looks like that could have an effect, because South Korea has a pretty large impact on the crypto markets. All right, number 4, Bitcoin Cash. Pull up the chart on that one. Will it remain forever the underdog? Like Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash has had a difficult week. My preference between the two has not been a secret here in this show. I like Bitcoin Cash because of its scalability and simplicity. That said, I'm not a big fan of either of them long term. Both continue to stagnate relative to many other cryptocurrencies. Let's scroll down to the chart. Pull up 1 month to start with. It's had a wild ride. Let's look at that volume.
Yeah, over the course of the whole week, it's pretty similar, according to the charts that I'm seeing. Shows that Bitcoin Cash is down 6% over the week, so it's fairly flat compared to the time last week. Had a little bit of a bump in price, but nothing that held on.
Yeah, the volume of Bitcoin Cash looks pretty good. Like most cryptocurrencies, it has its spikes, but it has a solid baseline. That's something I look for if I want, anything to hold for longer term periods of time. Alright, well, I don't have much to say about that one. We did a show
And
on
we have
that,
Cardano, number 5.
Back. Cardano, that's been another, it's a very interesting one. Pull up the chart here. Let's go to the 1 month view. So Cardano on another upwards rip. Looking at the volume, it looks overpriced relative to other cryptos, and importantly, the low volume and strong price movement at this level of market cap strongly implies that whales are at work buying, which begs the question, what do they know that we don't, or is it just a big pump and dump? I gotta urge caution, people, on this one. It's scary to me. I don't know what to make of it. It has a pretty minimal baseline at the 1 month level. Lots of spiking. Now Cardano, oh wait, let's just go back here. The volume really didn't start to kick off until late November.
Around Thanksgiving, yeah.
I'm not sure they're a pretty new entry into the space, I guess. Go all here.
Yeah, they looks like they came about towards the beginning of October.
That's right. So they haven't been around very long. I believe they are attempting to do what Ethereum is doing, but with some improvements. I don't think they have nearly the kind of outlook that EOS does, though. So I'm a bit suspicious here. What's going on? It could be that they're going to implement some additional technology, and I don't know. I don't know what's happening. Or maybe they've got some deals. Or maybe this is just speculation by some whales who are trying to get people to go into it, and then they'll sell and take a profit. I don't know. But it could be great news, it could be bad, but I reckon that even if it is some secret insider information, that at this level that it's at, even if they release that information, say a deal with a major company or something like IBM, if they came out and said something like that, the price might go up a bit higher, but then it's going to go down again, because this is basically pricing in whatever's going to happen, if something's going to happen. And I think if you'd gotten in further down, you're doing great. But at this point, I would be really cautious at it, because I can't see it going too much higher without some pullback, unless this news is just phenomenal. It could be. I don't know.
Be interesting to watch for the next week.
To see what happens. Yeah, the next few weeks.
So what's next on the list?
So, topic 2, news. The topic of the news this week is the topic of this show, the Christmas Crypto Blues, or the show title I'm going to give the episode. So we've had a rough ride in the past 2 weeks with profit-taking and consolidation bears dominating the market. A few days ago, the market began to recover, but then the day before yesterday, it was blindsided by news that the South Korean government is looking to crack down even more on trading, possibly allowing regulators to shut down exchanges. Now, given the massive investment into cryptocurrency by Koreans, as well as the huge run-up in prices the last couple of months, it seems inevitable that we will see some more backlash from other governments who are very worried that their own fiat currencies may come under threat in coming years if they continue to do nothing. And I just think they're trying to curb the enthusiasm here, and I'm not sure long term there's much they can do, but they can certainly try to scare people and try to instill fear about the stability of cryptocurrencies, and they're doing a good job of that so far. So I've got a couple articles here. One is from news.bitcoin.com. This came out on the 30th of December. It's a survey. It says survey data shows that about 3 out of every 10 South Korean workers have invested in cryptocurrency in some shape or form. Now, 3 out of 10, that's pretty huge. You compare that to probably any other country, and you will not find anywhere near that level of participation in the crypto market at this point in time. I'll just read the top bit of it.
That's
here.
pretty amazing.
On Wednesday, online job portal Seramin surveyed 941 salaried people in South Korea, and 31.3% of them claimed to have invested in virtual currencies, with an average investment of 5.66 million won, which is about 5,300 US dollars. So that's not only a large percentage of the workforce, but that's also a substantial amount of money each. I mean, that seems pretty large. So if the governments start to throw some cold water, as the next article here I'm pulling up shows, that could start a bit of a rollback in some prices. So the next article here is from RT.com, published the 28th of December. Bitcoin tumbles as South Korea threatens to throw cold water on its red-hot crypto market. And headline, well, below the headline, the byline: the price of Bitcoin plunged on South Korean exchanges on Thursday after the country's authorities announced tougher measures to crack down on cryptocurrency trading. Bitcoin dropped over 11% in the news. So I'll have all these links in the show notes available for people to check out themselves.
So
Any
what's
thoughts?
the next on our list?
Well, the next topic is our interesting coin or ICO spotlight. This week I have 2 ICOs on the list to talk about. So the first one is B token, and the second one is Beluga Pay. Now we won't be going into great detail, so please follow the links in the show notes for more information in detail if you're interested in these projects. I want to say from the outset that the hosts of this show, the Safe Crypto Show, are not being paid or otherwise compensated for these reviews, nor do we own any tokens of these ICOs as of the time of this recording. So let's start with the first one, B token. BNest is the company behind B token. Now, BNest is attempting to create a low-cost, decentralized protocol and application which allows property owners to contract with guests and renters without either party incurring a substantial fee for the service, as with similar centralized services, Airbnb being perhaps the most well-known one. Now, BNest has a solid team behind it with members from tech companies like Uber, Facebook, and Google. They have a detailed white paper that gives both technical details of the decentralized system they are building, along with a business and marketing plan. Now, personally, I believe that B token could be an excellent ICO sale short-term investment suitable for flipping. So, buy in the ICO and sell once it gets listed on a major exchange, and I feel personally that there could be some profit there. I don't know if I'm going to do it. You know, it's not investment advice here, but I may. So that's what I feel.
Sounds like an interesting protocol and everything that I've read on it so far. One of the things that I go and I look at as far as for investment vehicles is, does it do something that's already being done in a more economical or efficient manner? With most cryptos, starting with Bitcoin, back, when Bitcoin was much, newer, it was able to go and transfer money around the world much, much, much cheaper than a company, say, like Western Union or any of the other, money transfer things that would allow people to transfer from, say, the United States to Mexico or various African countries, etc., where you have recent immigrants that are sending money back home. And that was something that initially drew me to Bitcoin, was the ease with which you could go and do international, financial transactions without involving, a large organization like Western Union or any other company. And what BNest looks like it's able to do is it basically takes the middleman out of the Airbnb transactions. So if you have somebody who has a room for rent, they can go and discuss straight with the person who wants to rent the room, and it definitely makes things a lot easier as far as for the transaction and everything else. The only question I would have is, what sort of customer service you have in case the transaction has problems. Not necessarily in the money transfer or anything like that, but if the room isn't what, it was advertised and all that sort of stuff. That's the one thing I would be curious about. What sort of customer service does BNest have available for it? Because in a lot of cases, the ease of the transaction doesn't necessarily come with the customer service to make it a very user-friendly and enjoyable system for the new customers. So that's one thing I would be looking for, to find out how is BNest and the B token going to handle that particular aspect of their market. So
yeah, one thing to point out is that in their plan, they have a very slow rollout over a number of years. So it's not going to. Now they may just be being conservative, and possibly they'll ramp things up faster, and they just don't want to say that that's what's going to happen, and then they're not able to do it. So it's hard to say what will really happen, but in their plan, they're planning a fairly slow rollout. And to my mind, that means there's going to be plenty of opportunities to come into this coin later on down the track if it looks like it's got something good happening. Which is why, personally, if I get involved, I would probably only be flipping this and not long-term holding at this stage. Along the lines of what you were just saying, Mike, I think long-term or even medium-term holding this, that's very valid advice. And I would also want to not just know what their customer service issues are going to be and what their customer service capabilities are going to be, but also as compared to their competition. I don't know much about this space at all, so I really can't give any advice there, but if I was long-term going to go into this, I would be looking at their competition and comparing them step by step, what their plan is. Anyway, links will be in the show notes as well, and to their website, and to also Crush Crypto's analysis YouTube page. They've done a more detailed analysis on this crypto, and I recommend people watch them. The next one is Beluga Pay. Now, Beluga Pay is a point-of-sale system that allows merchants to accept not just credit cards, but also cryptocurrency as a means of payment. Hence, it is an all-in-one solution for payments. Now, interesting points here. Beluga Pay is already a live working product and system. I'm going to show you a short video of someone paying with crypto at a service station here. Let's pull that video up. It's 50 seconds. So that's very interesting. Beluga Pay shares a percentage of fees earned with token holders. I think I've got their white paper here. So in this picture here, you can see the token holder benefits. So they can earn 0.5% on all transactions. Membership, 1 token equals 1 month of Beluga Pro. I'm guessing that's for actual merchants, not so much for just the regular average token holder. It can be used as gas for loans and merchant payout. I'm not exactly sure. It looks also like more of a feature for merchants. And loyalty rewards. Token holders earn more Beluga points. So I guess they've got a loyalty program built into here. So the more you use this system, the more points you get, and I guess that allows you to earn either more tokens or some other kind of reward. Anyway, the white paper will also be linked in the description. I recommend you read everything you can before investing in these. The Beluga Pay team has in the past created a white label solution for the DuPont Corporation. They're a major top tier chemical corporation in the United States. Well, they're global really. So the team at Beluga Pay appear quite experienced and knowledgeable in this area of expertise. If they weren't, I don't think a big corporation would have paid them to develop a solution for them. So that's impressive. I'm interested in the ICO and in their product. In my own business, we use a point of sale system for customers to use their credit or bank cards to pay for items, and Beluga Pay would give our customers the ability to pay with crypto. And while this isn't currently a demanded payment method, I personally would like to advertise that we do take cryptocurrency. I'd like to help increase social awareness of cryptocurrency, and this is one way I could do that. Aside from myself, however, I could see this being really useful in developing countries where local currencies lack stability. And that is a target of Beluga Pay. They're building up in developing countries. Overall, I think this could be a great token for flipping and long-term holding. In the show notes, I'm going to link a review by the Cryptoverse. Now, that's a sponsored review, so keep that in mind. But a lot of good information in that review as well. Any thoughts on Beluga Pay, Mike?
Well, a couple of things that it looks like it has is, if it's a point of sale system, one of the things that if you're able to use your various different forms of crypto, the first thing I'd be looking for would be what coins are you able to use on that particular system. And as far as for the system, is it something that the merchants have to go and get set up for, and that will allow them to go and accept multiple different cryptos at the point of sale? That's one aspect to it.
Like
the other that I go and look at is that there's quite a few cards that use the Visa MasterCard network, and that has a built-in percentage fee that goes to the Visa MasterCard network, and that's built in and cooked into the system for any of those cards that use that Visa MasterCard network. There's some like Wirex comes to mind, 10X comes to mind, Monaco comes to mind as three very different methods to go and use a essentially what amounts to a preloaded Visa declining balance debit card on the Visa MasterCard network. That makes it so that you're able to go and use your cryptos by loading your card up with a value. Now, the Beluga Pay looks like it gives dividends or percentage of fees, like in point number 3 on the list. And that's something that, having an interest in 10X as I do, I've noticed that the people who are the operators for 10X are running into various different legal matters that come into play when you have a crypto that is doing something that everybody could use in a manner with which the various regulators and lawmakers of the various different countries where it's functioning, they aren't sure how to handle this because they've never had anything like this before. Now, a lot of the cryptocurrencies are viewed as being securities, and they are treating them in a lot of cases like they are stocks. And as far as for that, various here in the United States, they have rules regarding the trading or unregulated trading of securities. And when Beluga Pay says that it's going to share a percentage of fees with token holders, I would have a question of, well, how did they handle, or how does Beluga Pay handle the legal ramifications of essentially a stock paying dividends? Now, granted, a cryptocurrency, there are those that argue that it's not a stock, and so it doesn't have to be bound by the rules of that. And a lot of the regulations that are coming up in various different nations regarding this brand new technology, how do we handle this, especially since it's getting so much traction lately. I mean, when you got $600 billion invested in various different cryptocurrencies, that's more than the gross domestic product of virtually all the countries in the all the various different countries in the world, save for a handful. You go and look at the GDP of a lot of nations, and they aren't anywhere near $600 billion. And you go and look at, well, what was it? I remember when the total market cap was under 100 billion, and it's gone up $500 billion in less than a year. So, of course, the lawmakers are their attention is drawn to the crypto sphere. And when you have a operation such as 10x or Beluga Pay that or Monaco, that all those various different operations can completely transform the way that crypto interacts with fiat. And just personally, I'm very, very interested in finding an easier way to convert my crypto into a functional way to go and pay for my bills on a day-to-day basis, and preferably without converting into fiat, except for maybe at the point of sale.
Yeah.
And preferably have it done at the instant of the sale. So a card like Monaco or 10x or Wirex, that Wirex is a little different in that it basically converts the crypto value into fiat value at the time you load up the card. So essentially it'll do the conversion when you load the card, whereas some others it does it a little differently, and 10x does it on the at the point of sale is where the conversion happens. Although you have your money in a 10x account, or a 10x it's in on the 10x card on the app. When you do the conversion, it converts from your Ethereum to whatever currency, Singapore dollars or whatever, like the video that they did. Now, Beluga Pay, they give a percentage of fees, and it doesn't appear that they have the same overhead as the 10x card does. But one of the things that I'd be curious is what sort of implications does that aspect have in regards to their listing on various different exchanges. And I know that most of the major exchanges, at least here in the United States, are very, very picky about how the appearance of the token, does it have the appearance of a security, or is it just another random crypto, that doesn't necessarily have a direct use as, a form of payment.
Yeah.
And that's something that is a major issue that will need to be resolved in the coming, I would say probably in the next 18 months. The world will probably have, if not, hard and fast rules, but they're definitely going to have a lot more, regulatory deals that are going to be activated in various different countries based on however the governments feel like handling them, whether they take a hard line against a supportive line for, or something in between.
Yeah.
But having the experience with 10x and knowing about how they're dealing with that particular aspect is something that is definitely of interest to me. And personally, I'm dying to find a crypto that pays interest, that you're able to go and by owning the token, you're able to go and get a share of profits without doing the mining like you do with Bitcoin. Something that is the everyman solution, where people with minimal resources, as low as maybe a smartphone, running an app, if they're able to go and develop an income stream, no matter how trivial it might seem, compared to first world countries, United States, England, the Eurozone, Australia, Japan, China, Korea, all those first world countries have a higher standard of living than some third world countries or second world countries, where what might be trivial to me as an American is a king's ransom to someone else, and something that pays a couple bucks a month can make a drastic life change for some people. And that's something that is interesting to me. And Beluga seems to have an interest in, sharing the wealth, so to speak, with the people who are the token owners. And that's something that's very interesting to me. And I'm definitely going to keep an eye out for Beluga and see what how their program develops. So, like you, I am definitely interested in the ICO, and I'm definitely interested in it on a longer term, mainly to see how are they able to activate that percentage of fees to essentially, benefit the people who are the token holders. That's going to be very interesting to me.
Yeah, I think at least with the crowd sale itself, I believe they're a Mexican company, and I don't think the Mexican rules with regard to securities are either they just don't exist in this area or they don't apply. However, U.S. citizens will probably
as
be
a
blocked
U.S. citizen, I'm not able to buy it, so
won't be able to buy it. Yeah, but once it's on the exchange,
that's a different story.
They can't regulate that yet. I don't know if they ever will be able to, because exchanges are international. But
it'll be interesting to see.
Yes, very interesting. Well, folks, that's all we have for today. I'd like to thank both our viewers and my co-host Mike for joining me today. We hope you found the episode informative and helpful. Please subscribe, like, comment, and share our video with others. Tune in next week for another interesting episode. Thanks.
Talk to you then. Have a good one, guys.